going on, y'all? Out on the road today. Finally a nice day. All right, we've been getting rain all week in New York. All right, so I finally got out, got the wheels clean, figured I'd do a video. But before I left the house, I did see the weigh-in with Joshua and Klitschko. And I've been paying attention to everything else too. I saw the last press conference, and I also saw the media workout thing they did a few days ago. All right, which was cool. Klitschko looks good. You know, he looks as good as ever. You know, I mean, yeah, he's the older guy, but I mean, he's still in great shape. You know, he was displaying some of his hand speed in the media workout. He definitely did more in the media workout than Joshua was doing. You know, Joshua seemed to really just be taking it easy. He didn't really show too much. The Klitschko was doing a lot more in that media workout. It looked like a real workout, you know. Listen, these guys clearly they have a lot of respect for each other, you know. These guys are two gentlemen. Klitschko's always been that way, okay? Even with all the Tyson Fury shenanigans that was going on, you know, Klitschko remained a gentleman throughout the whole process leading up to that fight. He's always been that way, and Joshua's always been that way too. You know, he's a very respectable guy. You know, a couple of the fighters that came here from over here in the U.S. that went over there to fight him, you know, and including Dillian White, those guys were doing all the talking. You know, Dillian White was doing all of the talking. You know, and Dillian White beat him in the amateurs. You had the God, Charles Martin, you know, the guy that, you know, walks the earth like a god and all that. I think he fought recently, or I think he's fighting this week or something. But he was talking a lot. And who else was talking? Brazil came all pumped up when they first had their first face-off, and Joshua had to tell him to back up, like, yo, fall back. But, you know, he beat up all these guys, you know, he stopped all these guys, so it really didn't matter. Joshua's a cool dude, and I think he's all right. I don't think he's fearful, you know. I mean, all these fighters are fearful going into a big fight, but I think he's all right. He seemed to be relaxed. I don't see any fear in his eyes, you know. I think he's taking this like another fight, every other fight. You know, obviously this is his biggest fight, but there's nothing about Anthony Joshua that I've seen that, you know, made me feel, you know, he's acting a little different. You know, I think he's okay. As far as the fight, I already gave like a somewhat of a breakdown. You know, I really don't know who's gonna win this fight. You know, I want Joshua to win. I don't know if he can beat Klitschko this early in the game. You know, because most of the fighters he fought, even though he's fought solid fighters. Not trying to say he hasn't. He's definitely fought solid fighters. But he beat them all up the same way. I haven't seen him being forced to make any kind of adjustments. Obviously, Dillian White gave him his best fight. Dillian White hurt him in the second round. But outside of that, I seen Joshua, you know, outside of that, Joshua won just about every other round in that fight. You know, it was competitive, don't get me wrong, but Joshua was winning. But I haven't seen Joshua being pressured and being forced to adjust. You know, I don't know. You know, every fighter he's fought so far, he kind of just walked them down and beat them up until he stopped them. He does have one punch knockout power. And he's shown that he's displayed that he could punch at a high volume and just beat you up until you can't take it no more, you know. Brazil lasted a while. Dillian White lasted a while. You know, those guys took a beating, you know, but he eventually stopped those guys. You know, the Molinas, the Martins, guys like that, they kind of just got beat up quick. But Klitschko looked good, man. I mean, listen, you know, I don't think Klitschko's done. You know, I thought the loss to Fury was more of a tough stylistic matchup for him. You know, Fury was long. You know, Fury is taller and longer, man. And he moves extremely well. He could fight with, you know, both stances. You know, he's very versatile, you know, and that's why Klitschko really didn't have nothing for him. But what I will say is that I do believe that Klitschko is stuck in his ways, you know, with this leaping thing, this leaping grab thing that he does. I think he's been doing this so long that there's no way he's not going to do it. You know, I think, you know, a guy's 40 years old, he's not going to change up his style now. But I do believe that Klitschko is going to be using a lot of movement in this fight and pumping that jab more often than he's had to recently because of the type of guy he's fighting. You know, Joshua is used to coming forward and being a little bit flat-footed. I know he can move pretty well, though, because I've seen him doing in sparring and his training preparing for this fight. So maybe he'll switch it up and try to do the Tyson Fury thing. I think that's the thing that's going to happen in this fight that we're not expecting. I think a lot of us expect Joshua to just come straight forward, not making as much of a use of his jab and everything, you know, and just try to counter Klitschko and land a big shot. I think we might see a different Anthony Joshua in this fight because I'm sure him and his camp are aware of the dangers of this fight. So I'm looking forward to see what Joshua do. Let's see if he does something different because, you know, everybody says Klitschko is chinny. But, you know, I mean, listen, you know, I mean, listen, this is the heavyweight division. And not only that, but, you know, Klitschko's fought some guys that touched him up, and he's been fine, you know. I mean, it's been a very long time since he got knocked out. He's fought big punchers and fared very well against them. Guys, he's fought fighters that's knocked out other opponents. And he's got touched up by them, and he did well, you know. I think everyone at some, you know, you could say in the heavyweight, everybody's pretty much chinny in that division, you know. The same with Joshua, you know. I only seen him get rocked once and he recovered quickly, you know, regardless of the sparring rumors. And that's the thing, man. A lot of us, we judge based on sparring a little too much, man. I think a lot of us do it. You know, I've done it myself. You know, when judging fighters and leading up to fights and trying to do predictions, when we hear rumors, you know, certain fighters, we hear that they're absolute disaster in sparring. And some of them we've heard that they're beasts in sparring, and then when they get into a real fight, they're not so good. So anyway, I mean, you know, like I said, I hope Joshua wins. I was listening to Deontay Wilder like a week ago, and he was saying something like, in regards of his heart says Joshua, but his mind is telling him Klitschko, and I feel the same way, man. I just don't know. Based on what I've seen with Joshua, same thing if I've said about, you know, Kell Brook fighting Errol Spence. You know, it's like I want to see it first before I can just really give you how I really, you know, my thoughts are how I really feel about a fight. I want to see them tested first before I just go and say that they're this next big thing, you know? And that's how I feel about Anthony Joshua. I want to see how he does, you know? But I'm looking forward to see what Joshua does. If he is losing the fight, what is he going to do? And that's what truly makes a great fighter. You know, how are you willing to adjust to your opponent? You're gonna fight it. You're fighting a guy that's a top level fighter, the best you've ever fought by far. He hasn't fought anyone that's on Klitschko's level, not even close. What are you gonna do when the fight's not going your way like it normally is? Like, you know, I've only seen this dude lose like 1 round in his whole career. You know, clearly, in my opinion. So what are you gonna do when the pressure is on, all right? And you're down in the fight, if he is being outboxed, you know, by Klitschko. Klitschko has a great jab, and Klitschko fights very well on his back foot. You know, great lateral movement, man. Great defense. What happens? You know, and you also got to be cautious of the power. You're cautious of the power. Klitschko got power in his jab, you know. It's a tough one to call. But you got Joshua, who's, you know, he's very quick for his size, very quick. Counters pretty well. Has a lot of power too. You know, has a solid jab, not as good as Klitschko. But I would say Joshua has more power. You know? We'll see what happens, you know? And then he has youth. Youth is a big advantage here. You know, but Klitschko got the experience, like I said in the other video.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Listen, I was pretty much finalizing this video, and it cut off on me yesterday when I was doing it, yesterday afternoon. So, yeah, just wanted to say, you know, like I said, I'm rooting for Joshua in this fight tonight. Well, later this afternoon here in the States. I believe that they're showing this fight probably around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. I got to go on television and check. But they're showing it on Showtime and HBO. But I'm pulling for Joshua for this one. But I really don't know who's going to win this one, you know. Klitschko looks good. You know, Joshua looks great. But, you know, he's never been tested on this level. So I really know. I'm going to sit back and watch it as a fan. It's hard to give you a prediction when I don't know how good Joshua is. Just, you know, if he is to beat Klitschko and look impressive doing it. And obviously he's the goods. But if not, you know, and if it's a tough fight, even if he wins and it's a tough fight, I'm fine. You know, even if he loses, you know, but if he gives a tough fight, then I'm fine too. And if he goes in there and gets knocked out and outboxed early by Klitschko, then I'm going to say, all right, well, maybe he's not as good as we all thought he was. He's still good, clearly, because you don't beat all those guys and knock them all out and still not be that good. He still might be better than Deontay Wilder. You know, he still might be better than Joseph Parker. But Klitschko is a historic win, and even though Tyson Fury beat him, he can still beat him and look more impressive than Tyson Fury did, you know? But I'm going to leave it at that because, you know, the fight is today and I'm done talking about it, man. Let's just watch the fight, enjoy the fight, and we'll talk after the fight is over, all right? I'll be home and I don't have any plans. I will probably be making a post-fight review of the fight right after the fight, okay? I'll see you guys then. Peace.